What if every argument you entered was not a battle to be won, but a game to be understood? What if the key to winning wasn't a better attack, but a deeper understanding of the board? True mastery is found not in overpowering your opponent, but in outthinking them with superior calm. 8 Wise Reactions to Conflict. Stoic Presence. Unshakable Mind. Compiled and published by Stoic Power. Lesson 1. Cultivate unshakable inner peace. Imagine the eye of a great hurricane. Within the swirling walls of this immensely powerful and destructive storm, there exists a center of profound and perfect calm. The sky is clear. The air is still. While the world outside the center is being torn apart by chaotic fury, the eye remains a sanctuary of absolute tranquility. This place is not a myth. It is a potential state of being that exists within you, a core of stillness that no external storm can ever truly touch. This illustrates a core inner conflict we all face. We live our lives in the storm walls, constantly battered by the winds of daily conflict, professional pressures, and personal disagreements. We feel the frantic energy, the constant push and pull, and the deafening noise as our normal state. The problem statement is that we mistakenly believe our inner state must mirror the external chaos. When conflict arises, we allow the storm to come inside. Our minds begin to swirl with anger and defensive arguments, our hearts race with the adrenaline of anxiety, and our inner world becomes as chaotic and violent as the world outside. This leaves us feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, and powerless, as if we are nothing more than a small boat with no rudder being tossed on a violent sea. We have forgotten that we have the capacity to access the eye of the storm. We are so used to the roaring of the wind that we no longer believe silence is possible. The transformative solution is to make the cultivation of unshakable inner peace your first and most important practice. You must learn to build and inhabit your own inner citadel, a fortress of calm that stands serene regardless of the battles raging outside its walls. The core idea is that inner peace is not the absence of external conflict. It is the presence of internal order. It is a strength, not a weakness, a weapon, not a retreat. When you cultivate this, you can engage with any conflict from a position of immense power and clarity rather than being a helpless victim of it. This is the foundational wisdom of the Stoics. Philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, who dealt with constant war, plague, and political betrayal, wrote extensively about retreating to his inner citadel to find the tranquility and wisdom needed to lead. He knew that a leader cannot bring order to the world if he is ruled by chaos within. This was not an escape for him, but a strategic command center. To begin this practice, you must schedule a daily stillness session. For just 10 minutes every day, you will sit in a quiet place, free from all distractions. Close your eyes and first, simply acknowledge the storm of your thoughts without judgment. Watch the chaotic winds of your to-do lists and worries. Then, visualize your awareness sinking beneath the surface turmoil, like descending into the calm depths of an ocean, down to a place of profound silence. Your mind will wander. This is its nature. The practice is not to berate yourself for this, but to notice the wandering and, with the gentleness of a kind teacher, guide your awareness back to that silent center each and every time. The benefit of this daily practice is the development of a deep, abiding calm that becomes your default state. You will become less reactive, less easily provoked, because you are no longer living on the turbulent surface of your mind. You are learning to live from your unshakable center. This inner peace is the bedrock of a powerful presence. Once you have built this inner fortress, you must learn to defend its walls from the most common invaders, the opinions of others. In our next lesson, we will learn the art of detaching from external opinions. If you are ready to find your calm center, declare it in the comments below. I will find my center. Your commitment to peace strengthens our entire community. Please remember to subscribe to the Stoic Power channel to continue this essential journey. Lesson 2. Detach from external opinions. Imagine a knight clad in a suit of masterfully forged armor. He walks onto a battlefield where arrows of criticism, of insult, of praise fly through the air. The arrows may strike his armor, clanging loudly or scraping against the steel, but they cannot penetrate to the person within. The knight is aware of the arrows. He notes their direction and their force, but they do not wound him. His safety and his mission are not dependent on the arrows ceasing to fly. They are dependent on the integrity of his own armor. This knight represents the Stoic mind, and the arrows are the opinions of other people. This brings us to a deep inner conflict. We crave the approval and positive opinions of others, and we live in terror of their disapproval and criticism. The problem statement is that by tying our self-worth to the opinions of others, we hand over the key to our happiness to everyone we meet. We become psychological hostages, living in a state of constant low-level anxiety, wondering, what do they think of me? A word of praise can make us feel euphoric, and a word of criticism can send us into a spiral of shame and anxiety. We are like the knight who has gone into battle wearing no armor, allowing every stray arrow to pierce our skin. This desperate need for external validation makes us inauthentic as we change our behavior to please others, and it makes us fragile, as our inner peace can be shattered at any moment by a careless word from a person whose opinion we may not even truly respect. The transformative solution is to forge your own suit of armor. You must learn the Stoic art of emotional detachment from both praise and criticism. The core idea is that the opinions of others are external events, completely outside of your control. They are arrows flying through the air. Your inner peace, however, is entirely within your control. It is your armor. True confidence comes from valuing your own clear judgment of your character and actions above the fickle and often uninformed judgments of others. This is not arrogance, it is self-sovereignty. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who was once a slave, taught this principle relentlessly. He said, "If you are ever tempted to look for approval from an external source, you have utterly compromised your integrity." He knew that true freedom was to be found in anchoring your sense of self in your own principles, not in the applause or condemnation of the crowd. To begin forging your armor, you must practice the internal verdict. For the next week, whenever you receive either praise or criticism, you will perform a quiet internal ritual. First, you will pause. You will not immediately absorb the opinion as truth. Second, you will thank the person for their input if appropriate. This shows grace. Third, you will privately submit their opinion to the court of your own reason. You will ask yourself, is there objective truth in this statement according to my own values and knowledge? What is the likely source of this opinion? Is it wisdom, or is it their own insecurity or emotional state? You then deliver the verdict. If there is a useful piece of data here, I will accept it as a lesson. If it is merely noise, I will let it fall from my armor without a second thought. The benefit of this practice is that you will begin to feel a profound sense of freedom and self-possession. Criticism will lose its sting, and praise, while pleasant, will lose its addictive quality. Your emotional state will stabilize, as it will no longer be on a roller coaster controlled by others. You are building an unshakable confidence based on your own character, not on external approval. You are the knight, aware of the arrows, but secure and unwounded within your own armor. Once we are secure within our armor, we can engage in conflict with a new level of clarity. In our next lesson, we will seek to understand the very nature of conflict itself. If you are ready to forge your armor, declare it in the comments. Their opinion is just an arrow. Your commitment to self-worth inspires us all to build our own defenses. Please subscribe to Stoic Power to continue your training. Lesson 3. Understand the nature of conflict. Imagine two grandmasters sitting opposite each other at a chessboard. A conflict is about to begin. The novice player sees only a battle. He sees his opponent as an enemy to be destroyed, and he reacts to each move with aggression and impulse, trying to win as quickly as possible. He is emotionally invested in every piece, and every capture feels like a personal loss. The Grandmaster, however, sees something entirely different. She sees a complex system, a dance of logic and psychology. She does not see an enemy, she sees a partner in a highly intricate problem-solving exercise. She seeks not just to react to her opponent's moves, but to understand the strategy, the intention, and the fears behind them. Her primary goal is not to checkmate in 10 moves, but to deeply understand the nature of the game as it unfolds. This is the Stoic approach to understanding conflict. We often enter disagreements with the mindset of the novice player, seeing the other person as an adversary and the conversation as a battle to be won. The problem statement is this: when your goal is to win a conflict, you have already lost. Your ego is engaged, your mind is closed, and your only tools are attack and defense. This approach almost always leads to damaged relationships, unresolved issues, and a lingering sense of bitterness, even if you manage to win. The argument. You might feel a fleeting thrill of victory, but it is followed by the emotional hangover of knowing you have created resentment and burned a bridge. You have won the battle, but created a war. You have treated a complex game of chess like a simple game of checkers. The transformative solution is to elevate your perspective to that of the Grandmaster. You must learn to see conflict not as a fight, but as a source of information. The core idea is that every disagreement is a rich text, full of data about the other person's perspective, their values, their fears, and your own. The goal is not to defeat the other person, but to understand the game on the board so deeply that a wise and effective path forward reveals itself. This approach was central to the Stoic practice of philosophy, which was often conducted through dialogue and debate. They sought not to win arguments, but to arrive at the truth, even if it meant admitting their own position was flawed. They understood that the person who walks away from a disagreement with a new understanding is the true victor. To begin this practice, you must become a conflict detective. In your next disagreement, you will consciously set aside the goal of winning. Your new mission is to understand the other person's position so well that you can argue it for them. You will practice active listening, asking clarifying questions like, "So if I understand you correctly, your main concern is X because you believe it will lead to Y? Or, can you help me understand the experience that led you to feel so strongly about this?" You are not agreeing with them. You are mapping their side of the board with genuine curiosity. The benefit of this approach is that it instantly de-escalates the emotional intensity of the conflict. The other person, feeling heard and understood, will lower their defenses. More importantly, you will gain an incredible amount of clarity about the true nature of the problem, moving beyond the surface-level argument to the core disagreement. This is how you find a move on the chessboard that benefits both sides. You are no longer a brawler, but a grandmaster of human dynamics. Now that we understand the nature of the game, we must learn to prioritize the right kind of victory. In our next lesson, we will focus on prioritizing long-term clarity over short-term wins. If you're ready to become a grandmaster of conflict, declare it in the comments. I play to understand. Your commitment to wisdom elevates every conversation. Please subscribe to Stoic Power to continue your strategic training. Lesson 4. Prioritize long-term clarity over short-term victory. Imagine a ship captain whose destination is a rich and distant port, a journey that represents his life's great work. One day, he sees another ship on the horizon, sailing a similar course. His ego, that short-sighted and vain first mate, flares up. He is overcome by a desire for a short-term victory, to prove his ship is faster, to best a rival. He orders his crew to unfurl every sail, pushing the ship to its absolute limit. In his frantic race, he ignores his charts, sails directly into a known storm system, and damages his mast. He may have beaten the other ship to a temporary spot on the ocean, but he has jeopardized his entire long-term voyage for a moment of fleeting, meaningless triumph. The wise captain, however, keeps his eyes on the true prize. He allows the other ship to pass, sticks to his safe, carefully plotted course, and arrives at the rich port with his ship, his crew, and his cargo intact. This illustrates a critical inner conflict. We are often tempted by the allure of the short-term victory. In an argument, we want to deliver the killer comeback, the one that makes the other person look foolish and makes us feel momentarily superior. In a negotiation, we want to squeeze every last drop of concession from the other side. In our work, we might cut corners to meet a deadline and look good in the short term. The problem statement is this: a consistent focus on winning short-term battles often leads to losing the long-term war. The witty comeback that wins the argument might permanently damage the trust in the relationship. The ruthless negotiation tactic might destroy your reputation for fairness. The rushed project might fail later, causing even greater problems. We sacrifice the rich port of our long-term goals for the hollow victory of a meaningless boat race. The transformative solution is to cultivate the wisdom of the long-term navigator. You must learn to consistently prioritize long-term clarity and well-being over the seductive thrill of a short-term win. The core idea is to define what the war is before you engage in any battle. Your war might be to maintain a loving and respectful marriage, to build a reputation for integrity in your career, or to raise resilient and happy children. Once you are crystal clear on the long-term goal, you can assess every short-term conflict through that lens. The Stoics were masters of this long-term perspective. They believed in living for a lifetime, not just for a moment. They would ask themselves if a potential action served the ultimate goal of living a virtuous and tranquil life. If it didn't, no matter how tempting it was in the moment, they would discard it. They were playing the long game. To begin this practice, you must create a statement of ultimate victory. This is a simple, clear statement of your most important long-term goal in a specific area of your life. E.g., my ultimate victory is to have a relationship with my child built on trust and mutual respect. For the next week, before you enter any potential conflict in that area, you will review your statement. Then, as the conflict unfolds, you will ask yourself one question: will the action I'm about to take move me closer to or further from my ultimate victory? This question acts as a powerful filter. It will make you swallow the sarcastic comment. It will make you choose empathy over being right. It will guide you to act with the wisdom of a captain with his eyes on the true harbor. The benefit is that you will begin to make consistently better decisions that serve your deepest values. Your life will start to align with your long-term goals, and you will feel a profound sense of integrity and purpose. You are no longer the reckless captain chasing every passing ship. You are the wise navigator, sailing with patience and clarity toward the truly rich harbor. To maintain this clarity amidst the chaos of conflict, you must have a focused mind. In our next lesson, we will learn how to train your mind to stay focused. If you are ready to prioritize your ultimate victory, declare it in the comments. I am playing the long game. Your commitment to long-term wisdom inspires us all to sail a better course. Please subscribe to Stoic Power to continue your voyage. Lesson 5. Train your mind to stay focused. Imagine a magnifying glass on a bright, sunny day. If you simply wave it around, the sunlight passes through it, but its energy is diffuse and weak. It illuminates, but it has no power. But if you hold that same magnifying glass still with discipline and patience and aim it at a single point, the scattered rays of light converge into a single coherent beam of immense power, capable of igniting a flame. The scattered light is the unfocused mind. The focused beam is the mind trained in Stoic concentration. This brings us to a critical inner conflict. We want to bring our best to every situation, but we live in a world that is a constant assault on our attention. The problem statement is that our minds have been trained for distraction. We flit from thought to thought, from notification to notification, from worry to worry. In a conflict, this manifests as an inability to listen fully, to think clearly, or to maintain our composure. Our mental energy is like the scattered sunlight, too weak and diffuse to have a positive impact. We lose arguments we should win and fail to solve problems we should be able to solve, simply because we cannot bring the full power of our mind to bear on a single point. This is not a moral failing, it is a lack of training. The transformative solution is to train your mind to stay focused, to become the master of your own magnifying glass. The core idea is that focus is a muscle. It is not a gift you have or don't have. It is a skill that can be developed through deliberate practice. By training your ability to hold your attention on a chosen object, you build the mental strength to remain focused and clear, even in the midst of a heated conflict. This practice, called prosophe by the Stoics, was considered essential for a good life. They knew that a wandering mind is a vulnerable mind, easily hijacked by external events and internal passions. A focused mind, however, is a fortress, capable of maintaining its inner order regardless of the chaos outside. To begin training your focus muscle, you will practice a simple, attentional push-up. For 10 minutes each day this week, you will sit in a quiet place. Close your eyes and decide to place your entire focus on the physical sensation of your breath. Feel the coolness of the air as it enters your nostrils, the rising of your chest, and the warmth of the air as it leaves. This is your single point of focus. Inevitably, your mind will wander. A thought, a sound, or a feeling will pull your attention away. This is the moment of training. The moment you notice your mind has wandered, you will gently but firmly return your focus to your breath. That return is one attentional push-up. You are not trying to stop the mind from wandering. You are simply getting better and faster at noticing it and bringing it back. The benefit of this daily training is that you will dramatically increase your ability to direct your attention where you want it to go. This will translate directly into your ability to handle conflict. When someone is speaking, you will be able to truly listen without your mind drafting a rebuttal. When you feel anger rising, you will be able to keep your focus on your core principles rather than being swept away by the emotion. You are forging your mind into a laser beam of focused energy. This focused mind is the key to recognizing your true power in any conflict. In our next lesson, we will explore how to recognize your power in response. If you are ready to train your focus, declare it in the comments. I will focus my light. Your commitment to this practice helps our entire community become more powerful. Please subscribe to Stoic Power to continue your training. Lesson 6. Recognize your power in response. Imagine a skilled martial artist facing an opponent. The opponent lunges forward with a powerful attack. The novice would try to meet this force head-on, a clash of strength against strength, likely resulting in injury or exhaustion. The master, however, does something different. She doesn't block the attack in a rigid way. She yields to it, she blends with it, she steps aside and uses the opponent's own forward momentum to gently guide them off balance and into a position of vulnerability. She has recognized that the true power in this exchange is not in her initial block, but in her intelligent and skillful response. She has turned the other person's attack into her own advantage without escalating the violence. This is the essence of Stoic power in conflict. We often feel powerless in the face of someone else's anger, criticism, or aggression. The problem statement is this: we mistakenly believe that the person initiating the conflict holds all the power. They throw the punch, and we feel like we can only be the victim of the blow. This mindset disarms us. It makes us defensive, reactive, and weak. We see ourselves as having only two options: absorb the attack and feel diminished, or meet the attack with equal force and escalate the conflict into a destructive brawl. We fail to see the third, more powerful option of the martial artist, the option of a wise and strategic response. The transformative solution is to recognize that your ultimate power in any conflict lies not in the initial stimulus, but entirely in your chosen response. The core idea is that the other person's action is merely an opening move. It is a force they have extended into the space between you. Once that force is in the open, you have the complete and total power to decide how to engage with it. You can meet it with force, you can crumble before it, or you can do what the master does. You can use it. This is the ultimate power shift. The moment you realize your power is in your response, you can never truly be a victim in a conflict again. The Stoics built their entire philosophy on this single, powerful insight. Viktor Frankl, a survivor of the Nazi concentration camps, expressed it perfectly. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. To begin this practice, you must become a response strategist. For the next week, whenever you are faced with a verbal attack or a challenging statement, you will not react. You will use our 3-breath rule to create the space. In that space, instead of thinking, how can I defend myself, you will ask a new, more powerful question. How can I use this? For example, if someone offers harsh, unfair criticism, instead of defending your ego, you can respond with the disarming question. That's an interesting perspective. I'd like to understand what led you to that conclusion. You are redirecting their aggressive energy into a request for more information, which you can then use to either learn something valuable or to better understand their flawed reasoning. The benefit of this practice is a profound and immediate shift in your sense of personal power. You will no longer feel like a target. You will feel like a martial artist, capable of handling any incoming energy with grace and skill. You will de-escalate conflicts, gain valuable information, and command a new level of respect as people realize that their verbal attacks have no effect on you. You are discovering that the most powerful move is not an attack, but a wise response. To respond with such wisdom, especially in heated moments, requires a high degree of emotional detachment. In our next lesson, we will learn how to foster this quality. If you are ready to recognize your power, declare it in the comments. My power is in my response. Your commitment to this truth empowers our entire community. Please subscribe to Stoic Power for the next lesson. Lesson 7. Foster emotional detachment in challenging times. Imagine a scientist observing a volatile chemical reaction inside a sealed glass beaker. The chemicals may be fizzing, changing color, producing heat, and emitting smoke. The reaction is chaotic and intense. The scientist, however, stands at a safe distance, observing this turmoil with calm, detached curiosity. She is not afraid of the reaction. She does not get angry at it, and she certainly does not stick her finger into the beaker. Her detachment is not a lack of interest. It is a prerequisite for her work. It allows her to learn from the reaction, to understand its properties, and to maintain her safety and objectivity. The volatile reaction is a challenging conflict. The scientist is your rational mind practicing emotional detachment. We often experience the opposite of this. When we find ourselves in a challenging, emotionally charged conflict, we dive headfirst into the beaker. The problem statement is this: we fuse with our own emotional reactions. We don't just feel angry, we become anger. We don't just feel anxious, we are anxiety. This complete identification with our emotions during a conflict is disastrous. It destroys our ability to think clearly, to strategize, and to act in our own long-term best interest. We are the scientist who has become part of the chaotic experiment, and as a result, we have no hope of controlling it or learning from it. Our vision is clouded by the very smoke we are helping to create. The transformative solution is to foster emotional detachment, to become the calm scientist of your own experience. This does not mean suppressing your emotions or pretending they don't exist. It means creating a space of awareness between your true self, the observer, and the emotional reaction you are experiencing. The core idea is that you are not your emotions. You are the consciousness that is aware of your emotions. This subtle but profound separation allows you to feel the full heat of the conflict without getting burned, to see the smoke without choking on it. This is the Stoic ideal of apatheia, which is not apathy, but a state of equanimity where one is not ruled by the passions. The Stoic sage observes his own anger, fear, and desire as if they were interesting weather patterns, but he never confuses them with his core identity, which is his rational, virtuous will. To begin this practice, you must learn to narrate the reaction. The next time you are in a challenging situation and feel a strong emotion arising, you will begin to describe it to yourself in the third person, as if you were a scientist taking notes. Instead of, "I'm so angry," you will think, "A sensation of anger is now present in the body. The heart rate is increasing. There is a feeling of heat in the face. The thoughts occurring are focused on the perceived injustice of the situation." This may feel strange at first, but it is an incredibly powerful technique for creating immediate detachment. You are shifting from being the subject of the emotion to being the objective observer of it. The benefit of this practice is the creation of a powerful mental buffer that protects your rational mind from the chaotic chemical reaction of your emotions. You will be able to remain calm and think clearly even in the most challenging and provocative situations. This will give you an immense strategic advantage in any conflict, as you will be the only one in the room who is not lost in the beaker. You are becoming the calm, clear-eyed scientist, capable of understanding and navigating any reaction. This detachment allows us to see conflict not as a threat, but as an opportunity. In our final lesson, we will learn how to use conflict as a path to growth. If you are ready to become the scientist, declare it in the comments. I will observe the reaction. Your commitment to objectivity helps us all find clarity. Please subscribe to Stoic Power for our final lesson. Lesson 8. Use conflict as a path to growth. Imagine a blacksmith who has been given a dull, brittle piece of iron. His goal is to transform it into a strong, sharp, and resilient sword. To do this, he must subject it to the very things that seem most destructive: the intense heat of the forge and the violent blows of the hammer. This process of conflict between the hammer and the steel, the fire and the iron, is not something to be avoided. It is the only path by which the iron can be purified, tempered, and transformed into something of greater strength and value. Every blow of the hammer, every moment in the fire, is a step on the path to growth. The conflict is the creator. This is our final and most powerful reframe. We began this journey by learning to accept conflict, but now we must go deeper. The inner conflict we face is that we see conflict, at best, as a necessary evil to be managed or resolved. The problem statement is that this view still keeps us on the defensive. It prevents us from seeing the immense opportunity for growth that is inherent in every single disagreement and challenge we face. We are like the iron, fearing the hammer, not realizing that the hammer is our only hope of becoming a sword. We endure the conflict, but we do not extract its full value. The transformative solution is to learn to use conflict as a deliberate path to growth. You must become the blacksmith who does not just endure the process, but who understands and even welcomes it as the very means of his transformation. The core idea is that every conflict is a perfect diagnostic tool. It reveals your weaknesses, your hidden triggers, your emotional attachments, and your flawed assumptions with perfect, undeniable clarity. Every argument is a chance to practice patience. Every negotiation is a chance to practice fairness. Every criticism is a chance to practice humility. The Stoics were masters of this art. They saw every person who irritated them or argued with them not as an enemy, but as a training partner in their mental gymnasium. They were grateful for the opportunity to practice their virtue. This is the ultimate power move. To see the person who is challenging you not as an adversary, but as your teacher. To begin this final practice, you must implement the post-conflict growth analysis. After any significant conflict or disagreement has ended and you have returned to a state of calm, you will take out your journal. You will ask and answer 2 questions. First, what weakness in me did this conflict reveal? This requires absolute honesty. Did it reveal your impatience, your ego, your fear of not being respected? Naming the weakness is the first step to strengthening it. Second, what specific virtue does this conflict give me an opportunity to deliberately practice next time? You are turning the analysis of the conflict into a training plan for your own character. The profound benefit of this final reframe is that you will remove the fear and bitterness from conflict entirely. You will begin to approach disagreements with a sense of calm, curious, and even grateful purpose. You will see every challenge as another blow of the hammer that is shaping you into a stronger, wiser, more resilient human being. You are no longer the brittle iron, fearing the forge. You are the master sword, welcoming the process that makes you who you are. From cultivating inner peace to using conflict as a forge for your character, you have learned the 8 wise reactions to conflict. You now know how to stand firm, to respond with wisdom, and to transform every challenge into a source of strength. This is the path to an unshakable mind. Thank you for your dedication to this journey of self-mastery. Your commitment to facing conflict with wisdom and poise is a powerful force for good in the world. If this video has empowered you, Please like, comment, and subscribe to the Stoic Power channel to continue forging your unbreakable spirit.